So welcome to the video, what is Git? In this video, we'll be discussing what Git is and then why we use Git. Git is a kind of version control system. What is version control system? A VCS, version control system. A version control system is a system that enables you control different versions of a file. So you're able to track your changes in that file, and so you can revert back to a certain state of that file. So you can make up to 10 different changes, save the file different times during a period of days or weeks or even months. And because you're using a version control system, you're able to go back to a specific version of that file. It's like being able to undo something, having the capability to undo something, but this time around, something that you've done several days ago or several weeks ago or several months ago. With a version control system, you're able to undo whatever it is you want to undo. So tracking changes is one big reason why people use a version control system. Git is just one kind of version control system. It's actually termed a distributed version control system because the way it works is that there is no central. Ideally, Git doesn't have a central server that stores all the variations or the changes on a file. Everybody who is using that file or who has downloaded the Git of that file is able to see all of the changes that the original creator of the file has done. And so you have a distribution of the different file states across whoever is using that file. I hope you guys understand what I mean. Then secondly, synchronization of code and merging is another big reason why people use Git as a version control system. So what that means is that let's say you and your friend, you are working on a file, and then he is making changes to a section of the file, you are making changes to another section of the file. Or you're working on a project, he is making changes to one file, you are making changes to another file. Because there is a Git control system, both of you are able to synchronize your work across the devices such that you are not bothered about the changes he's making, because you know that the Git is tracking the changes he's making. He's not really bothered about the changes you are making because Git is also tracking the changes you are making. So by the time you merge your work, you're able to have a version that incorporates both the changes that you have made and the changes that he has made in one storage or one repo or one store, such that I have the most recent changes. He also has the most recent changes, and it's just one copy of the file that we have. We don't have multiple duplicates of the file for every change that we make. So it allows you merge the work that you are doing with your colleagues across different files. So even if there are 10 different people working on a particular project, the 10 people can keep working on different files, and you only have one copy. And that version control system called Git is able to make sure that everybody has the latest work of everybody else. So when I, for example, merge or pull the requests on the Git, it updates my file to indicate all of the work that all the different people are doing on that one project. And other people, when other people pull that same Git, It enables the people also see the work I have done and the work other people in the group have done related to that same project, and it's just one copy of the project. You don't have multiple endless copies of the project since multiple people are working on it at the same time. So I mentioned a repo. You might wonder what a repo is. A repo is the short form of a repository. What is a repository? A repository is just a collection of source codes, especially when you're talking about programming. So when you have your projects in a folder with different files, different directory structure, just a collection of source codes is what you call a repo. Now, a local repository is a collection of source codes on your system. That's what you call a local repository. But a remote repository is a collection of source code on a server. Now, there are different kinds of remote repositories, but one of the more common ones is called the GitHub, which is a repository that allows you, or a central repository that allows you to store your repo. There are other ones too, like Bitbucket and a few others that are not as popular. But GitHub is the most popular distributed version control system on the market, remote distributed version control system on the market. So it allows teams to work together and then remotely store the work they are doing on a central server that everybody is connecting to, dumping their change and collecting the change of other people. And so we move on to the next part of the discourse, the element of Git. Now, remember, Git is different from Bitbucket. Git is a technology, but Git is different from GitHub. Git is the technology. GitHub is a website, a portal that enables you to store your remote repo. So Git, you have to install it on your system, usually using apt install Git on an Ubuntu system or on a Debian system, and whatever other systems you use to install applications on your different Linux systems. Even on a mobile phone, under Tmux, you either use apt install Git or pkg install Git. Both of these commands would install Git on your mobile phone through Tmux. So after installation of Git, Git resides on your system. So the version control is being done on your system or on that phone, whatever it is you installed Git on. And that enables you have a local storage or a local repo on your system, even when you do not have an account on github.com. Now again, I was saying there are 4 elements in Git. The first element is called the working directory. The working directory is that folder where you have all your files and all your subdirectories. So if it's a website, for example, the working directory will contain all the pages of the website, all the subfolders like the image subfolder, the CSS subfolder, the JS subfolder, and all of the different directories subdirectories that is actually on that element. Then there is the staging area. The staging area is just a marking area. It's not a storage. It's just a marking area that indicates what files in our working directory we want to load on our repository. So you might decide not to load all of your content or all of your file on a repository. You might want your repository not to have sensitive information like your database username and password and so on and so forth. So you get to indicate which files do you want your repo to store, knowing that eventually your repo would be backed up on a remote server like a GitHub server. So from the get-go, you can indicate the files that you want to be staged, to go to the repo. Then from the staging area, you have your local repository. So your local repository is where the files that you've indicated you want to do version control on are stored on your local system. So again, all of this is happening on your local system as a result of the Git that you have installed on your system. Yeah. So the next element is the remote repo. This is now when you want to be able to work with other people, or you want to be able to have an external store of your repo, either for backup purposes or for collaboration purposes. So you remotely connect to a repo, you store your work on that external repository, so others can work with you on it, or you can have access to it again in the future at some point when you want to use it. So that's that about an introduction to Git. There's still a lot of stuff that is not mentioned in this tutorial, but this gives you a high level idea of what Git is. Thank you.